It's the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast with Alex Trataros, John Meleka, and Raisi on the beat. Let's go.
What's good, everyone? Alex Trataros here with another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. And not with me is my buddy, my coach, my pal, the man with the plan, the one and only John Meleka. Instead, we got with me today, the one and only, the video producer, the man, the myth, the legend himself, fellow Jets fanatic, Greg Albert in the building. My guy, Greg. Greg, how you doing today, man? How you been?
I'm doing good. I mean, the Jets won. I'm on Knicks, Jets, etc. for the first time, I think, on video on YouTube. And I'm excited, man. I was very happy with how we played today. You know, Christmas was good, first of all. We could do the off-field stuff. How was your Christmas? How's your weekend?
It was good, man. It was good, man. Got to spend some time with the family. Got to, honor my grandmother, my father, since this has been a difficult year. But it was good, man. Just got to spend time with the family. Got to see my sisters, my nieces. Got to hang out with them, exchange gifts, have some good food. Just the wonderful stuff. How was your Christmas, man? How has it been?
That's great, man. I mean, same kind of thing. Just low-key, immediate family, important people, hanging out, exchanging gifts, eating food, same kind of stuff. It was great. So I'm happy you had a good time. I'm happy you got to spend time with your family. I'm happy I got to spend time with my family. I'm happy the Jets, down a lot of people, got the win this week against the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yo, of course, man. I don't even know what's going against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who didn't have essentially nobody missing for today, and the Jets are coming out here missing like 15 to 18, 19 guys. Like we're down and out with some of these guys, and yet we're out here looking like a competent team. I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what I was watching today, but the New York Jets decided to impress. And two Christmas miracles, man. We had the New York Knicks that were competent yesterday. They beat the Atlanta Hawks. Granted, the Atlanta Hawks were down and bad without a lot of their key players. They didn't have Danilo Gallinari. They didn't have Trae Young, the engine of their offense. They got Clint Capella back, but the New York Knicks looked fluid. You get Kemba Walker with a triple-double. Julius Randle went off for a big double-double yesterday. So that was a good way to kick off Christmas too. And then today, the Jets say, you know what? Let's follow up with that. Let's help out the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. Let's follow up with the New York Knicks win with the Jets win too. And that's what we got today, man. So I'm going to ask you first, Greg, what were your overall thoughts of this game, man? Just from the outset, what do you think?
I think that there's been a lot of talk this year about some of the pieces that we have, and we were missing a lot, as we talked about. I think there's been a lot of talk about the coaching staff that we have this year. It's a young coaching staff. Of course, we were down Robert Saleh today with COVID, and the coaching staff came out and came up in a big way today. Our offense looked pretty good. Our defense looked pretty good. And our special teams looked great. So I was excited that in all three phases, I think our coaching staff stepped up. And then also, too, if you were watching the game, I think at one point the announcers were saying that it felt like, like a preseason game almost, because there were so many second-string and third-string guys due to injury, it being late in the season, and COVID, that we came out, we had a plan, we stuck to it, and we fought. That was my biggest takeaway for the Jets this week, is that we fought from the start to the finish. First drive of the game, they're doing trick plays, so we came back and we did some trick plays. We were starting out strong, they were starting out strong. It was a dogfight today, even though we're right at the bottom of the NFL, but I'm happy with the way we played. I'm excited by the way we played, and I think a lot of key players had pretty good games today, so I was happy to see that. What about you?
For sure, man.
What about you for the overall thoughts?
I think for overall thoughts, man, I just like the way that this team played on both sides of the ball, as you stated. Like, we got to see the offense have some fluidity today, even with the trick plays in there too. Defense, even though they were giving up plays between the 20, they were holding up and stopping Trevor Lawrence, and the offense, when they got down past the 20-yard line within the red zone, they bend, but they didn't break. That's the one thing I liked about the defense today. And the offense, they were creative, man. They were creative, moving the ball. It wasn't stagnant. Zach he looked like he let the game come to him. I mean, we got to see that first run, right? For what was it? He had like 60-yard run for a TD. Yeah, it was a 50-60-yarder going for a TD going down the sideline, the right sideline. And you see him bust one loose, which shout out to John because he was complaining about the last episode where he's like, "Yo, Zach, why are you sliding? You just gotta keep going." And guess what? John's not here, and he's like, "You know what? He probably listens to this podcast. He's like, you know what? I'm gonna do it for John. Yo, I'm gonna keep going for John." And thank God he did. He got that touchdown to get this team going. But I just liked what I saw overall. Zach looked more comfortable today, I would say, than he's looked throughout the entire season. Like, sure, we saw for all four quarters, four quarters. Let's say that because there are times throughout the season where he's looked comfortable, but then gets shaken back up, and there were times where he's had a slow start, a fast finish, and then a fast start and a slow finish. So today was probably the best day we could say through all four quarters. We saw Zach Wilson play well, but we'll hold that off. We'll hold more off on the offense for later. But Greg, those are my overall thoughts. Let's just hop into the defense real quick and discuss what we saw. So I want to get your takes first on what do you think about the defense, man? Like we are known to just be this team. Like we started off strong, beginning of the season. Next thing you know, like we got to the second quarter of the season, and our defense just looked like crap, like for lack of a better word. We're giving up 30, 40 points.
Like stretch, right? Where we were giving up 40-something points. It felt like every single game.
At least 30, man. We're giving up at least 30 points for like a long stretch of games. And you just felt like this defense was just – it didn't feel like it was packing it in, but you felt that this team was just – they just weren't – they weren't in sync. They weren't communicating well. They weren't feeling like whether it's just the front seven communicating like to make the proper shifts. The secondary was just out of position, allowing receivers just to get wide open looks. And we know, as John always says, that this team can't stop the running backs, can't stop the tight ends, and teams figure that out too. So they always go, in the flat, get these guys into the flat routes, out and swing passes to start getting some open looks, get our defense frustrated, and then start attacking the middle of the field and pushing the ball down and going over the top. So today they tried to do that, in my opinion, but it didn't necessarily work out. What do you think?
Yeah, like you said it perfectly, and I mean I'm a sucker for like the NFL like cliches and all that stuff. So the bend but don't break. That was my first note in my notes today when I was watching the game because you saw from the very first drive, we get a stop. The Jaguars fake punt, keep the ball moving. That could kill the momentum of a defense. Defense comes back out there. They're looking good, but then Eccles gets a kind of what I would chalk it up to as a rookie flag, where he gets a deep pass interference call because he just doesn't turn around and try to spot the ball. He's playing the defender. I think he'll pick that up, as he matures in his role, hopefully, as a DB for us moving forward. But they get down, 5-10 yard line on the very first drive of the game, and we stop them to a field goal. And I think that was the story of the day. I think both teams were able to drive. Both teams were able to get into the red zone. And then the real separator today was who could score and who couldn't in the red zone. And I mean, the Jets got the ball inside the 5 yard line 4 different times. I've been watching the Jets for a long time. I don't remember getting the ball down in the red zone so many times. It felt like we were able to move the ball very well, really because of the rushing. And, we were able to score, and the Jags weren't able to put the ball in the end zone. So I think that was my biggest takeaway. And again, we didn't let up the big plays, so our DBs played really well. I was happy with that. And then I give him a really hard time, but CJ Mosley, I thought, played great today. He had a chance to close the game out with an interception. He didn't make that happen, but he did make a 20-yard sack fumble happen that gave us a red zone opportunity right away. He was able to stop the run along with the rest of our team today. So it was really those 5-10-yard dink and dunk passes that were eating us alive. Other than that, to your point, we were able to stop the run. We were able to slow down the passing game to the tight ends. I was really happy with the defense and how they looked today.
Yeah, man. Defense looked really well, played really well today. I mean, you can look at both of these teams. Like, we didn't pass that well. You could say, sure, Jaguars got 252 passing yards on us. But when it came down to rushing, they only got 132, while conversely, Jets got 273 yards on the ground, 100 through the air. We'll get more into the offense and why I'm not really too concerned about those numbers for today. Yeah. But I'm fine with the passing because we're also missing like guys today too on defense. It's so trying to get pressure to the quarterback wasn't as easy, even though they did get pressure to the quarterback. Like, I'm not gonna like, and you talk about CJ Mosley, like Gerard Davis had a decent game today. I thought Brandon Echols played pretty well today.
Yeah.
Shout out to Javelin Goodry for really blocking up the pass towards the end of the game, at the end of the game, to really solidify the win for us. Like, those guys came up through today. Brandon Echols didn't really play that well today. I think he was letting a lot of guys get open, but front seven looked pretty good. For the most part, when it came to stopping the run, like we gave him 100 yards in total. And that's between Trevor Lawrence, who got a massive run at the end. Like, think about that. 100 yards, and that massive run came from Trevor Lawrence at the end of the game. So the front seven was doing its job when it came to containing the run game, not allowing anyone to get through. And that's why the Jaguars had to push it down the field. But I think it's also fair to say that, look, if you start passing to your tight ends, if you start passing to your running backs out of the backfield, you're going to get those yards on the Jets. And that's how they got most of those yards today. So I got to give a kudos to the Jets D, especially the front seven. Secondary, I have to give a shout out for Jason Pinnock, man. Like, honestly, I really have to give man, stepping up, playing safety. He looked pretty good in the safety role, man. I know cornerback is where they want him to be, but playing safety, not saying he's the solution, but what I would do moving forward is to give him some more run there and let's test it out, because we didn't have Ashton Davis today. So let's see what we got with Jason Pinnock back there. Those are my thoughts. Do you have any other takes on the defense?
My big takeaway too, I think we talked a little bit about pregame, is it's unfortunate that we're in the spot again this year where I'm already looking at the draft. And, when I start looking at the draft, I think a lot of people could talk about, the defensive pieces that we need. Some people look towards, DBs and safeties and stuff. And, maybe we need one safety, but with these last couple of games, let's mix it up a little bit. Let's see what we got, because I'm happy with some of the stuff I see out of these younger guys that are getting some, extra playing time, that's playing, really well. As far as the defense goes, overall, I think we need more pressure. I think it wasn't consistent pressure today, but sometimes it was timely pressure, which, makes up for a ton of it. I know we've had some injuries. I know we had some people out. So, overall, just it was a close game, 21-26. It was a little bit higher scoring than I expected, but overall, I'm happy that we got the win. I'm happy that we're not in the contention for the first overall pick, because we got a couple key wins that we needed, and I'm happy with the defense. I'm more excited about the offense, but one guy that we're not talking about before we get to the offense is your guy, John's guy, and my guy, Braxton Berrios, coming up in a big way on a kick return today.
Oh yeah. Well, before I get into that, let me do this ad read, man. We got to pay the bills around here. You know what it is. We got to pay the bills, guys. I keep saying this every episode. All right. You know what it is when it comes to us. We are part of that fan-sided network. Okay. We're the exclusive podcast for the Knicks, and we're the exclusive Knicks and Jets podcast. So you can find ourselves on, whether it's the Daily Knicks or the Jet Press. But who owns Fanside? It's Minute Media. And who else do they own? They own the Players Tribune as well. That publication that was started by Derek Jeter. Shout out to Derek Jeter. Shout out to, for me at least, Greg's a Mets fan. John and I, we're the Yankees fans. We're the resident Yankee fans around here. So shout out to DJ. And the Players Tribune has this awesome podcast, guys. They got the Knuckleheads podcast that has former New York Knick Quentin Richardson, okay? And they also have Darius Miles. These guys are the co-hosts of the Knuckleheads podcast, and the Knuckleheads podcast brings on some of the best NBA players, past and present, to have a totally unguarded conversation about sports, culture, and basketball nostalgia. They've been going for the past 7 years, and they brought on guests such as Jason Tatum, Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan, Sue Bird. They brought on some top guests, and they still do that too, even outside of basketball. They brought on some top high-end entertainers, musicians, and so forth. So, guys, make sure to go check out the Knuckleheads podcast over at the Players Tribune, or you can find them on all audio platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and so forth. All right, had to take care of the bills real quick, but Greg, before I did that, you brought up our guy, man, our guy, Braxton Berrios, okay, our Danny Woodhead, who honestly he's now entering territory of Wayne Corbett. That's where he's entering right now. And we've said it on the podcast before, all of us. And how could we not, I know we were supposed to start off a special team because I was going to be the one quick hitter and we went straight to defense, but we got to touch on this before we get into the offense.
Yeah.
Braxton Berrios with a 103-yard return today. My man. Thank you. He's been looking to bust one loose all season, man. You started off, so I'm gonna let you talk more about Braxton Berrios. But he finally got it. He finally got it
Yeah,
today.
and that's my thing, and that's why I love Braxton, because he's the guy that, at least from what I've seen from him, is he just keeps going at it. He keeps trying. He keeps fighting. You were talking a little bit earlier about the defense and how we were giving up some, big scores, kind of in the middle part of the season. To me, that's like a testament maybe to like will and effort and drive. He has all those things in spades. I think that's why we love him so much, and he not only had 103 for the touchdown, he had some other great plays. My favorite thing about that kickoff too is it wasn't one of those like candy ass like running all around stuff like that. It was he got the ball straight up the middle, was just faster than everyone, hit the hole faster than everyone, and just went for it. I love that. But also led the team in receptions today. Five catches. So again, 37 yards, nothing crazy, but it was timely catches. It was when you needed him, he was there. 5 receptions. A couple other good kick returns and punt returns. So he's just that guy that I hope he's a Jet for a while. I hope we keep him around. Obviously, got nominated for the Pro Bowl. So, I'm happy for him. I'm happy he was able to get it done today because, like you said, he's been kind of knocking on the door all season. And the fact that he was able to get it done. And, we won the game by 5. So, it was a huge point for us to get that. I think a huge momentum builder for us. And
For sure.
Very happy for him.
Yeah, man. Absolutely happy for him. And for everyone who doesn't understand why he's our Danny Woodhead,
Yeah.
the New England Patriots had him. Okay. They needed him. The funny part is that they wanted to keep him on that roster, but he pulled his hammy and they needed the extra 4 or 5 roster spots. They needed someone active for that season. So he drops, we pick him up. He keeps working. You see him in those videos. You can even go back to the Denzel Mims video that I referenced for the Lollygagging ladder drill. You see Braxton Berrios out there just chopping, man. Quick arms, quick feet. He's working consistently. And like you said, Greg, and you see all that work paying off. He shot out of a cannon today. He just went through the hole faster than everybody else. He went down. He was like a true sprinter, man. And for a guy that ran track, like he was down, got all the momentum. And then once he was out and open, he opened up that stride and just kept going, got that touchdown. And that was a big play for us, man. We're not winning this game without that touchdown. Okay. We're not winning this game. And the special teams helps these games when you can get something like that. So Braxton Berrios continues to work. As you said, he was our most consistent wide receiver today because we didn't have, we were relying on Tyler Kroft, Keelan Cole. We're relying on Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman out of the backfield. Not that they're bad. I'm just saying, just keep in mind, this is what we were working with today. And we also have Denzel Mims, and we're going to get into because this guy is, I'm like, he needs to get out of here, man.
Yeah,
he truly needs to get out.
The couple times he was on the screen today, I was like, I can't wait to hear what Alex has to say about it.
Yeah, no, this guy.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's rough, man. It's tough out here. We'll get into him. We'll get into him later. But yeah, absolutely, Braxton Berrios. And look, he was averaging 7 yards per catch today for the 5 receptions that he had. Yeah. He got 6 targets, caught 5 out of 6 of them. Longest one was a 12-yarder. But we needed someone who was consistent. You see him and Zach have that repertoire to get it going. And I really do hope he is a Jet man, because this is the last year of his deal. He's going to be a free agent after this year. He needs to be brought back. These type of guys create that type of culture in the locker room that it's not easy to replicate. Someone who works hard, someone who's given their all and keeps producing year in and year out. Like he was producing last season. He keeps producing this season. Got to give it up for Braxton Berrios. And you're starting to see the work that he's putting in pay dividends. So shout out to him. Also, while we're on special teams, man, shout out to our kicking situation, dude. Like, thank God. Pinheiro is finally, we finally have something.
Where's John when you need him to talk about the kicking?
Yo, John, you got to leave the country more often, man. We got Jets wins. We got Zach Wilson looking good out here. We have Michael Carter running like rampant. We're going to get more into that. Like I said, we got our kickers kicking well. My goodness, dude. Like everything just started to click today. John, we might just have to pay John we got to use all the money we're collecting. The little that we're collecting, we got to pay John just to keep traveling, man. Keep him out of here because Jets seem to be producing while he's gone. But shout out to Eddie Pinheiro today. He went 2 for 2 for field goals. But the extra point only went 2 for 3 today. He missed 1, but hey, I'll take it. It's been better than what we've seen this season. I'm not trying to make any like major declarations, but bring him back, see what he can do next season.
Yeah.
At this point, this is where we are in the season. We got 2 more games left. You're looking for guys who can produce. Maybe you bring them back in the offseason, see if they can be something. This can translate into something, and you can look forward. But thank God, man. Just thank God. And guess what? We only punted once today.
One time.
Once. Like,
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, man.
Brandon Mann didn't have to come out here and do that much work. So shout out to the special teams, man. Shout out to the defensive special teams and the offense for doing work today, because the fact that we had a punt once today, that's wild. I can't even believe I have to double check to make sure that's right.
Yeah,
because that's how crazy it is.
Yeah, so
and we only punted once.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he only punted one time. Pinheiro, though, 2 field goals. Yes, he got 1 extra point block, so I don't really know who is to blame on that, if it's more of a line issue or whatever it is, or if it's him for kicking it low or whatnot. But I don't know about you, but we ran that fake field goal. I forget when that was, and he was running to the outside as a pitch option, and I was that my heart stopped. I was so scared that he was going to get the ball pitched to him and someone was going to hit him. I'm like, come on, like, he's playing well finally. Our kicking game looks okay finally. Let's stop messing around here. I got very nervous about that. I don't know what you thought about that.
That was after the fumble for Trevor Lawrence that CJ Mosley did, and then we had it in their territory, and instead we decided to be crafty with. That was the one that I was like, I was just gone for points. I get the trickery.
Yeah.
Yo, shout out to Middleton today for being gutsy today on calls, wanting to go for on 4th down, doing some trickery today. He just said, you know what? He was like, we got nothing to lose, man. Let's just go for it on every time. Let's just be creative. Let's figure out something. So that.
Real quick on that before we really dive into the offense. Overall, I think we made it inside the 5-yard line 4 times. I mentioned that earlier. We came away with 1 touchdown.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Are you thinking, like, did you like us going for it over and over? I know John and I on Winning Picks Weekly, we kind of go back and forth on that. Or, should you just take the points? If we kicked it every time, we would have had 12 points. Instead, we ended up with just 6. So are you from the school of we should just be going for it? We got nothing to lose. We should see what we got.
I think it all depends, man. I don't think there's no clear-cut answer. It's not a yes, it's not a no. It depends, like, where you are in the season. How's the team looking? If it was all that stuff. What's the score? Like, if we're looking at the last, like, if we had Amendola, like, I was like, no, we're not going to Amendola. We're going for it on all 4 down. I don't care. Yeah. All right. That in that situation, Pinheiro's kicking the ball. He had 1 missed point after attempt today, but he hit all the field goals. You went back to him. You showed that he was competent. And because of that, I would say there was one. It was the first time they went for it on all 4 downs. I was like, you know what? It was really close in the game where we were only up by, what was it? We were up 9. Yeah, it was 9-6. Where did we? Because we had to turn over our downs. Yes, it was 12. It was 13-12 Jets. In the right before the end of the half, and I was like, why are we going for it on 4 downs? Like, I want this team to win. I know people were like, let's lose and get good draft position. We still have the 4th overall pick right now, so we didn't lose. It doesn't really matter after this win, so I'm happy about that. I'm indifferent when it comes to getting the number 1 overall pick. You have to hit on it. Team has to have a good scouting department, all that type of stuff. And it depends on needs. Last season I wanted because of Trevor Lawrence. I'm happy with Zach Wilson. I think there's jury's still out on him. He's shown some improvement. Today was one of his better games. We'll get more into that. But when it comes to, like, going for it on 4th down to stay on track, like today, I was like, nah, we should have just gotten the points. I'm looking to win. I'm not looking to just say, let's go for it. It's 13-12. This team can come back and win, and it didn't make sense. You take the points in that situation. It's not where you're up. Like, even if you're up by a lot, I think that's just disrespectful, but I get it. Like, the Steelers were doing that one season where they just kept going in for 2. I'm just like, really? Like, this is because I think it was the first year where they just changed the field goal rule to move it back. Yeah. And the Steelers kept going for 2. And I'm like, that's pretty dickish of you, but okay.
Yeah.
If you're good at it, go for it.
30 points. It's like, where are you really going for 2 right now? But yeah, they still kept going for it.
Yeah. So, like, in those type of situations, no, like, take the points. In this situation where it's close and you're trying to build team morale, you're trying to give a sense of, like, what it feels like to win and how to win. Yep. That's where, in the sense where it's like, you don't necessarily need to go for it. Just take the points and keep it moving. You're not playing from down. You didn't miss a field goal before where you needed to do. I guess, well,
Yeah,
They
my
sorry,
yeah.
for touchdown, for fourth down, for not two. So they like, I get if you were like in dire need to do it, but they weren't in dire need to do it. So I wish they had taken the points there, but it doesn't matter. They still got the win. But I think that's a situation where you're taking the points. What are your thoughts though?
That's my exact thing, is that it was close enough game. You're not down by 2 or 3 touchdowns. And I think every single time, or most times, you started inside the 5. So you already had 3 shots at getting a touchdown. So do you really need the 4th shot? At that point, just if it was me, just take the field goal, take the points, and move on. You had the first down, you had the second down, you had the third down. You couldn't get the 3 or 4 or 5 yards that you needed. So take the points and move on. One time I think we got a false start that moved us out. 5 more yards. So we were kind of beating ourselves at that point, but I'm happy, obviously, with the way we played today, just because of the offense. The defense, again, like we said earlier, it's hit or miss depending on what you're looking at. Special teams look good. I wish we kicked the ball a couple more times when we were down in the red zone. But unless there's anything else you want to talk about special teams or any like overarching thing, I definitely want to start talking about the offense, because I am jacked up for some of these guys.
Yeah, man. Let's get into it, man,
Okay.
because the offense looked really well today. We scored 26 points. Let's see. I want to go through how many times the Jets have scored over 20 points today with Zach Wilson. They've scored. Wow, it's very few where we get over 20 points. Let's see. They got the Titans game. They got against the Falcons. They then, with Zach Wilson, they got it against they got the Texans.
Yep.
And they got against the Dolphins. And now against the Jaguars. And then Jaguars. So 5 times out of this entire season, they've gone over with 20 points with Zach Wilson behind the helm. So I was ecstatic to see that the offense moved so well that they were able to get into the red zone, especially without all their guys, like we said. Like, your offensive line was then going down one by one as you're watching it unfold.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have Elijah Vera Tucker. Mekhi Becton was already out, right? So we can order 2 starters. You also didn't have who else didn't you have today on the line? We didn't have LDT.
Okay.
We didn't have the LDT on the right side, so we lost both of our
out.
guards today. We didn't have Mekhi. We then lost Morgan Moses throughout the game, so McDermott came in,
and then
and then we also lost. Who else did we lose? Did we lose Fant today?
He got hurt. I don't know if he came back, but I think he got rolled up.
No, McGovern.
Well.
Connor McGovern got hurt
too. The center.
Connor McGovern got hurt. He's the one that got hurt, and so we lost 5 of our guys for all on the offensive line, and then we still pull out the win. And not all on today. This is just over the course of the time, whether it's to COVID, LDT, Elijah Vera Tucker were COVID today. Morgan Moses was an injury. Connor McGovern was an injury. Kai Beck has been out for this entire season. Obviously, he's not coming back. And then you just see this all unfold, and you're like, McDermott. You see Feeney coming here. He did. He did catch the TD. Yeah. Maybe the man needs to be a tight end. Who the hell knows? But so you see all this, and for us to get over 20 points today, that was really impressive. But I'll let you start off, man, because I know you're jacked, pumped. I'll give my thoughts after you, and chime in on yours. But what are your thoughts, man? What did you think about the offense today?
I mean, my big thing is Zach Wilson just makes me feel sometimes like I'm bipolar. Like, I was watching him early in the game, and I was like, come on. There was the one play early on where he threw an interception, but then it was ruled not an interception or whatever. Mm-hmm. I forget what that was. But if you looked at the ball placement on that, I was like, that's not even close to where the ball needs to be, Zach. Like, what are we doing here? And then he comes out, I think maybe a couple plays later, and breaks a run for 60 yards and scores a touchdown. We were talking about, I've chimed in on Jets episodes towards the end a couple of times, and I've talked about Zach Wilson and me just not really seeing what I think I need to see as a rookie. And that's been ball placement. That's just been decision making. It's going through his progressions. And today, I think he kind of, because we were down so many offensive linemen and so many passing, weapons, we just started looking to the run, and he looked great as a runner. He almost had 100 yards rushing today and a rushing TD. And I was just like, okay, like maybe this is something we need to lean into a little bit down the stretch, especially if we're banged up, especially if we have COVID. because, between him and Carter, we looked amazing running the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was deliberate because we were down so many people. And Zach Wilson, like I said, he's kind of made me go up and down all season long. But today was an up day. His passer rating the last couple weeks, people were down on him. A lot of people were talking trash 2 or 3 weeks ago about him. It's improved every game. So, again, passing yards hasn't been great because I think today he just broke 100. But again, that's on 22 attempts. But 14 of 22, to me, that's pretty good. If you, extrapolate that out, it's 28 of 44 if he threw twice as many balls as he needed to. But the beautiful thing is he didn't need to. Trevor Lawrence needed to. Trevor Lawrence had a lot of pass attempts. Trevor Lawrence had a lot of passing yards and he lost the game because he didn't throw a touchdown. Zach Wilson threw a touchdown. Zach Wilson rushed a touchdown. He did what he needed to do to win. And to me, as a young quarterback on a young team, that's all I'm looking for. Just do what you need to do to win the game. Get the win and move on. We can worry about the Joe Burrow. I don't know if you saw that today, 500 yards and a zillion touchdowns. We can worry about that later. I'm not worried about that right now. I'm worried about looking good, making the right decision, doing what you need to do to win the game. And Wilson did that today. I was very happy about it.
For sure, man. I look at Joe Burrow's first year, dude. Like, it was not pretty. It was ugly. Like, the entire team sucked. Granted, like, even I can't forget that season because when he went out too, when he missed the game, the Jets played the Bengals that season with Darnold, and we lose. Blitz Boy was not in that game, but we lost to the Bengals that week. I was like, really? We lost to the Red Rifle, Andy Dalton, who hasn't played the entire season. But I digress. Zach looked good today, and you talk about 14 for 22, 89.6 rating, 1 TD, average 4.6 yards per passing. Like, it's not pretty statistically, but when you watched him play those 22 passes, they were on target. Like, for the most part, they were on target. You didn't see all this crazy, like, balls flying over the place, and he was getting to them in the swing and short passing, and he was getting some good intermediate passes too. I love that. Sure, you're like some people, and I saw Connor Hughes tweet this out. Zach had more rushing yards and passing yards at one point, and it's like that's cool, but it's not pretty. Like, he didn't really like it. He wasn't impressed by it. I say fuck that, because what was this team working with? Like, let's be real. You don't have Corey Davis. You don't have Elijah Moore. You don't have Jamison Crowder wasn't here today.
Yeah.
We didn't have you don't have your three guys.
We're down 3 or 4 offensive linemen, like you were saying earlier.
And so, like, what do you want him to do? Like, he has to get out and win. If this is what you need for him to get going and winning, so be it. And guess what? I actually like that he ran because he has wheels. Yeah. Use him. You be that dynamic weapon that you were promoted coming out of BYU. So him rushing today, getting that long rushing touchdown, that was awesome to see. It was just like when Sam Darnold did against the Broncos. You just love seeing that type of stuff where a quarterback is capable of doing it, because now you have to honor him and you have to, occasionally put a spy on him and throw off the defense. That's a guy that has to stay around. That means there's going to be a guy that's not being covered to a certain degree, and you can go pass it out to your tight end, your running back, fullback, if they decide to go that route at some point, if this team does. And that's what I look from. And that's what I look from this team. So Zach Wilson looked good today. And the one thing I will say, that crazy pass to who was it? To McDermott.
To the end zone,
to the end zone. That was probably the best pass I've seen Zach throw all season. Not necessarily because it was far, not because it was short, but the fact that he put touch on the ball. It wasn't because throughout this entire season, we've seen Zach, even for short passes, just rip it. And it's like, bro, and it's like, bro, and for like passes that don't even need to be ripped, like it's not even a slant round. It's like, all right, it's a hook. No one's around him, but you're zipping it in there with like a lot of pepper, and the guy, it's going to be hard for a guy to catch. He didn't do that to McDermott today. He put touch on the ball for him to get it in one place, for him alone to get it. And kudos to McDermott for going up and grabbing it like an actual wide receiver. That was wild.
Yeah,
but
crazy.
You see that, and I'm like, that's growth. That is growth. So today was like one of his better passing days, like for legit from start to finish. This is one of the better games Zach Wilson's played. And this is the type of stuff, we had Will Parkinson on last week. We talked about wanting to see, I know Will didn't necessarily want the win because he wanted draft position. Thankfully, we didn't lose it. We're still in the top 4.
Yep.
But what we did see was Zach grow this all 4 quarters. We saw a good, complete game from Zach Wilson. Passing wise, he improved. He looked more relaxed. He started to use all the intangibles that he had, the creativity, the running, he was starting to put the accuracy was there throughout most of the game today. I liked everything that I saw. And even when you watch, I'm looking across the field, like when at Trevor Lawrence too, right? And Trevor Lawrence is not necessarily wasn't super accurate today too. He was throwing behind some guys. He was throwing a little low, a little high, but that's just rookie quarterbacks in general. But the difference is that Zach Wilson was touted as like this precise passer. So was Trevor Lawrence, but they're rookies too. They're coming in, you're working at a different pace. Your offensive line is not going to give you all night and day to go throw a ball. You have to be a little bit more, you have to adjust it more. And that's the thing Zach Wilson, I would say, did better than Trevor Lawrence today. Zach was anticipating pressure and he was able to get away from the pressure for the most part, and still get something going down the field.
Yeah.
Or create something. So I like that.
And that's a great point, because that was going to be, before we wrapped up talking about Zach, that was going to be my point on that McDermott play. And that's why there's a big difference between reading the box score and like watching the game. Like, we're talking about his ability to run, and yeah, he ran it for 100 or 90 yards or whatever on 4 attempts because he had that big rush play. He actually had another pretty big rush play to get inside the 5 at one point too. But I think that leads to an overall theme of confidence building, because on that specific McDermott play, he had 2 guys come right up the front, in the middle at him. He used his feet to step back and move to the right, buy himself some time, and then threw a nice touch pass to the end zone. So that doesn't translate to like rushing yards or a rushing attempt for Zach, but I think it shows to the overall part about his confidence to run. If he needed to, he could have run, but he instead just bought some more time, moved out of the pocket, used his feet well, and then threw an accurate ball to a lineman for a touchdown. It was a great play. It was awesome, but that's my biggest thing. Down the stretch here, I want to see confidence building for him, because another confidence builder for him, no interceptions today. That was a huge talking point in the beginning of the season, was interception after interception. You got to take care of the ball. No interceptions today. There's a couple close ones, but that's okay. Those don't count. 1 touchdown throwing, 1 touchdown rushing. But again, the biggest thing for me, no interceptions, decent completion percentage. He was on time. He was accurate when he needed to be. And I think it was a big confidence builder. So that's what I'm most excited about for him. Hopefully these next 2 games that we have here, he can keep building that confidence, taking into next year, because I think the game hopefully is slowing down a little bit for him, and hopefully he keeps looking better week in and week out.
For sure. And look, just so everyone knows, Zach Wilson had 4 carries today for 91 yards, and he got that 1 touchdown. The longest run was 52. It was a 52-yarder. 52. 52-yarder for a TD. So Zach Wilson broke that loose. But you had the 4 carries for 91 yards, 52-yard rushing touchdown, and then you look 14 for 22 for 102 yards for 1 TD. 89.6 pass rating. He had a good day today, man. He had a good day today. Stat sheet doesn't necessarily whoa, it's not one that pops out unless you're really looking at rushing for a quarterback wise. And I love Mekhi Becton and DJ Bieniemy. And DJ is the reporter for the Daily News for people who don't know. Saying Zach Vick out there today, the way he was running, it was hilarious. Zach Vick, but we can't leave this guy out too, man, because we were talking about rookies that we're hyped about. We got to talk about Michael Carter.
Someone else had a little bit of a career day going too. Yeah.
116 yards, man. Yeah. 116 yards from Michael Carter off of 16 touches. Longest one was a 38-yarder today. No touchdowns, averaging 7.4 yards a carry. Obviously, when you get the yards like that, you're doing a lot. But he looked good today, man. He was finding the holes. He was patient. Shout out to the offensive line today for most of it, for creating the holes for him to bust right through too. But he's grown so much as a running back, because he would just try just to push it and just run up the middle and just do things. Now you watch him and he's got that patience. It's not, and I'm not saying he is, so cool down everybody, but he's got that Le'Veon Bell patience. And I'm not saying he is Le'Veon Bell, but Le'Veon Bell, if you ever watched him when he was on the Steelers, very patient runner, stayed behind the lineman, always had the arms out, just staying and then figuring out to break it loose, or just slowly going up and then figuring out and then making the move. Michael Carter's kind of showing that, and not saying he's doing exactly all those things I just listed out what Le'Veon Bell can do, but he's showing that patience before he's attacking the gap. I really like it. What do you think about Michael Carter today, man?
I mean, I think it's great. I mean, if you look at his game log early in the season, I know that, he's been a little banged up at some points too, but, it's a career high because I guess he's a rookie. So season high, career high in attempts, career high in rushes. And, earlier in the season, I think he was catching a lot of balls, and I'm happy today. We didn't need those short little 3-4 yard passes. We could just hand it off to him, and he could get us 4 or 5 yards. So he looked great. The biggest thing for me is I think it was obvious on a couple plays today. He doesn't have one of the knocks on him, I think, going into the season was like the breakaway speed. And he should have had a touchdown today, but he got ran down by someone.
Yep.
A couple other plays where you could see it. Once it gets to that second level, the high-end speed's not there. So, my notes is that, going into the season, I didn't think he was going to look as flashy as he can at some points. I think that he's developing really well. I don't know if he can be a true, workhorse 3-down back kind of guy going forward, in 2 or 3 years, or if we're going to need to have a 1-2 punch with someone with a little bit more speed. But very happy for him. Awesome day. And another guy where, to your point earlier about Braxton, Berrios, to your point maybe about Zach Wilson, where he's been working at it all season long. And today it finally pays off for him. The offensive line, it was a mixed bag today, but they were blocking for him. He was hitting the hole. He was getting the yards. 7.5 yards per attempt. That's a beautiful thing. So I'm very happy for him. The rushing attack was on full display today, and I'm okay with it. I mean, I think a lot of people in today's NFL are expecting us to, expecting every team to throw for 400 yards or 4 touchdowns every week. I'm okay with the Jets team that runs for 250 yards and wins 16-10 or 26-20, 23, whatever the score was today.
Dude.
I'm okay with that if we play good defense and run the ball a ton.
Dude, and you're going to have to be, because we're in the Northeast.
Yeah, that's
we're
true.
We're not in the South. We're not in a dome. We're outside, cold weather. It will snow at some point. You're going to need to be prepared for all the elements that come through here. And running the ball is going to be a big proponent, especially when we get to late in the season. It's cold. You can't throw it as well. For a quarterback, their hands are starting to feel numb. Yeah. Running backs are going to be your key to keeping you in games. And it's going to be low scoring, ugly games. And you're going to need that defense too. So look, I'm happy with a win. All right. And you don't have to, a good quarterback, in my opinion, they should be able to have that capability, but you don't need to do it every single day. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, we're talking about elite level guys who can just pass the ball. And look, how many Super Bowls have they won? Like Pat Mahomes is obviously very young in his career and could win more. And I expect him to win more. What happened? We saw that. We said the same thing for Aaron Rodgers, and we've seen what happened with Aaron Rodgers, if they can build around him and keep that success going. But look at Aaron Rodgers too, right? Like, how many Super Bowls does that get you? You need talented guys. You need a complete roster in order to do so and to make it to that area. But I look at, if I want to go back in time, I look at the first Super Bowl that Big Ben run, and you had Jerome Bettis. Obviously, different time, different rules, things changed. And Big Ben became a really good passer at one point, and now he's on the decline. But having complementary football is a thing. Like, I believe in complementary football. Having a guy who can throw 400 yards, that's all nice and pretty. It's not going to happen in the Northeast. That just is what it is. Even Tom Brady in some games when he's out in New England, he didn't throw for 400 yards. Who was that running back?
Look at New England, the Bills, 2 weeks ago? They threw the ball 3 times.
Yeah.
It's the weather out here, man. You got to be able to run the ball.
Yeah. And what was it? Who was the running back that they had? Garrett Blount. I just remember him just going to town when he was in New England. So it changes, man. It changes based on the area that you're in for football. It's not like basketball where you can truly be a copycat league because it's going to be the same conditions for the most part every arena. But football depends where you play. So I liked it, and I shout out to Tevin Coleman, man. Dude's still got something. That
was gonna be my last thought on the rush.
Shout out to him, man. 14 touches, 57 yards, over 4 yards of carry. Dude still got something left in the tank. I start off the season didn't liking him. I said, just have it between Michael Carter and I think either Ty Johnson, or I think it was Ty Johnson at that point. Yeah. But Tevin Coleman's still showing something, man. And even with Michael Carter, to wrap up on your running back point, I don't necessarily think – this is my thing about Michael Carter. He's not strong enough to punch it in because I think he's a little still undersized. Like we saw that today, goal line stand, even when Zach had him on the pass for the drag route going to the right. he just got knocked, man. He got knocked by that linebacker, couldn't punch it in. Good. That was a good tackle by the linebacker, but the Jaguars linebacker. But he's just not big enough where he's going to continuously like punch it in. But he could change. That could change over time. Like we've seen small guys be able to punch it in. He needs to. I think he too. Once he gets a full NFL offseason, guys start to grow, develop differently, change differently. So maybe that will help too. We'll see. He's still too young to determine what type of running back he is. Yeah. I do like what I'm seeing from him though. Maybe this is usually under like a 4 team, and we saw under a Shanahan team. It is a running back by committee team. We're seeing that right now. It was split evenly between Michael Carter and Tevin Coleman. Usually it's 2 backs. I'm expecting another back to come in here to be whatever the lightning or thunder to whatever Michael Carter is.
Yeah. And I like that. I like that we're in a spot where we don't really know. We know he's playing well, but we don't know exactly what he's going to be. It gives me some optimism going forward and going into next year. Maybe he can figure it out and he can be the lightning guy, or maybe he can figure it out around the goal line. I mean, to your point, I didn't think about it, but there is a reason why we went down to the, inside the 5 4 times. They came away with 1 touchdown. It's because we don't have that big, strong running back like we need. So maybe that's something to address in the offseason. But for right now, I was very happy with Michael Carter. I was even happy with Tevin Coleman. He wasn't as explosive and he didn't have the big plays that Michael Carter had. But just for the first time, I feel like in a while, it wasn't just, negative play or no gain. There were some great, rushing attempts from both these guys today. So I was very happy about that. Overall, great game, man. Overall, great game. It sucks if you've been following John. I have a bet on who's going to be, worse, the Jets or the Jags. I think I officially lost that today. So shout out John, shout out the Jets. You're better than the Jaguars this year. But other than that, man, I'm very happy for the win. Very happy the way we played. Down so many people, down a head coach. It was awesome to watch.
Yeah, man, for sure. But I think that wraps it up, Greg. I have nothing else on this game. Shout out. Oh my God. Well, why am I? I hate when I blank. Shout out to Middleton today. Shout out to Coach Middleton today for being the helm, being tight end. Ron Middleton did a good job today coaching the game. Shout out to him. Michael Ford called one hell of a game offensively. Jeff Olbert, one hell of a way calling up the schematics. Shout out to everybody today for a really good game for the New York Jets, man. That's all I got to say. Greg, you got anything else to add in?
No, I think we all stepped up in a major way. I'm very excited about it. And we got 2 interesting games coming up to finish out the season. So I'm excited to see how we face, how we look coming up. So
yeah, we got Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next week,
I didn't want to say
we'll see how that
podcast, but yep, we do have him coming up. I hate him so much. I'm ready for it.
You and me both. You and me both hate this man so much. Just terrorize this team. Him and Bill Belichick terrorize this team for way too long.
Yep.
But hey, man, on a good note, this team showed out today. They stepped up. You're stepping up. We got you for this week. We got you coming up again for the preview for the Jets versus the Bucks. You're going to be with me as well for the Knicks episode. Yes, video producer as I go solo dolo again on that one. But that's it, man. That's all we got for this. That's all we got for today. So thank you everyone for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. We got a dub today. We get to talk about this dub on this podcast. So that's a dub too. But thank you all for tuning in and being such loyal listeners. Make sure to tell a friend about us and tell that friend to tell a friend about us as well, because it helps us out so greatly to build this community. Also, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star review and to leave a comment. And if you don't listen to us there, it's okay as well, because we're on Amazon, we're on Amazon Alexa, we're on Stitcher, we're on all the other audio platforms, you name it, we are there. Also, we're on YouTube. Okay, if you're watching this video, if you've seen these guys right here, these beautiful faces, make sure to hit the like button, hit that notification bell when a new episode drops, and to subscribe to the channel. Okay, that also helps us out. So please make sure to do that. Also, while you're there, Greg, co-host for the next few weeks, or I don't even know. Are you this way? Are you that way? I don't even know on this the way we're recording, but we'll see how it happens. But Greg and John have a podcast as well called Winning Picks Weekly. Greg just alluded to it. They go down the slate. They talk about it. They have a bet. You heard that John and Greg had a bet on which team was going to be better. It looks like Greg's losing out on this one. Jets are better this season, but it's all good because guess what? They're doing great work over there. Regardless, they're going down the slate, giving their takes, telling you which teams to take a pick on, and they're both doing really well. So make sure to check out that podcast as well. hit the like button, hit that notification bell so you know, once again, so you get both these podcasts. Last, certainly not least, make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. We are there. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for another Jets episode of the Knicks, Jets, etc. podcast. We'll catch you later this week for another Knicks episode and another Jets episode. We out.
Let's go, Jets.